Is it working? Okay. This is the OSI model. My name is Jude Bowman. This is probably the second most dorkiest thing I've done, so I decided to wrap the whole thing. Not. Okay, back down to business. The OSI model is just a framework on how data should be transferred over lands and WANs. It was actually, the first parts were created during the 70s by the OSI Society, also called the Open Systems Interconnect Model WAN Society. Basically, it just set up a system of framework and protocols so that no particular company would own the framework. It's not like Microsoft or anybody like that owns the OSI model. It's something that people adhere to throughout the industry and throughout entities that allows everybody's systems to work together without anyone owning anything, which is probably the largest part of this. Now, getting back to the OSI model, the OSI model is like a layered cake. It comes in distinct layers. All right. I like to think of an ideogram. All people seem to need data processing. The highest level is application level. That's as we know, as the user input level that people commonly use to actually enter information or to reference, I guess you could say. The next is presentation. Okay, this makes this is basically the level that it allows for freedom from syntax, basically so that one level is not dependent on another level, so to speak. And some of these are kind of hard to understand because they're more of a thought process than an actual thing we can touch or feel. The next would be session layer or level, however you want to look at it. It provides connections between applications. Okay. Next would be the transport layer level, and it's responsible for reliable transport of data. Okay. When we think of transport layer, we commonly think of TCP/TCP/IP. TCP/IP is connection oriented and requires a handshake, so we have a reliable data transfer with error correction, which is the big thing, especially when we're talking about over LANs. I mean, one bit off could mean the destruction of a particular frame or packet. So we have to have things like MD5 checksums, which stop that problem from happening. The next one will be the network layer. Okay, it establishes and kills connections. I like to think of the network layer as the logical level. All right. The next lowest down would be the data link level. It's responsible for physical communications between devices. When we think of data link, we should think of MAC addresses and network cards, specifically MAC addresses, which is later on the course, I'm sure. Last is physical, which is just the physical things like network cards, any kind of communication medium that's physical in nature, wires, cables, whatever, you name it. Okay. Now we also have to understand that different devices work at different layers of the paradigm here, the model. Probably the two that we're most familiar with are routers, switches, and bridges. Switches and bridges actually work at the data link level. They require MAC addresses and physical connectivity, whereas routers are intelligent, so they go up to the network level. They work at layer 3, which is, of course, like I said, network level. So that's basically the down low on the OSI model, as I understand it. Now, there's also much more things to it, and you could probably go talking here forever about it, but generally it's just like I said. It's basically a loose framework of how systems interconnect with each other. It provided a protocol, which is a set of rules of this has to work this way. Now, how it works generally is we have to understand that a message, say if it's going across the internet or whatever, it moves up and down this OSI model. It'll go down and it'll go back up. Okay? And we can loosely reference that to, of course, the TCP/IP model and encapsulating data, which I'm sure we'll get into later on, but I think that's outside the scope of the assignment. So My name's G11. That's the assignment, and that's the OSI model. Thank you. Okay, what do? Push the button?